The street was quiet that night, the kind of silence where every small sound felt too loud. Houses stood in neat rows, lights off, curtains drawn. It was the kind of neighborhood where nothing strange ever happened until the new neighbor arrived. He moved in on a cloudy evening when most people were inside. A big truck stopped in front of the old Miller house, the one that had been empty for months. No one saw him carry boxes. No one saw furniture. Only one tall figure walked into the house, moving fast, not looking at anyone. From that day, the house changed. Curtains stayed shut all day long. At night, strange lights glowed behind the windows, soft blue, sometimes green, sometimes flickering like fire. The smell of metal drifted into the air, mixed with something sharp, like burned chemicals. And then there were the sounds. Low hums. Whispers like two voices speaking but never clear enough to understand. Most neighbors ignored it. People liked their peace. But one man, Daniel, could not ignore it. He lived right next door. From his bedroom window, he could see the side wall of the strange house. Every night, he noticed something new. A shadow moving across the curtains. A flash of bright red light. Once, he even saw sparks shooting from the backyard like tiny fireworks. Daniel told himself it was nothing. Maybe the neighbor was an inventor. Maybe he was a strange scientist who liked to work at night. But deep down, Daniel felt something was wrong. Something was not normal. The first real sign came one Thursday night. Daniel was sitting at his desk, trying to read, when he heard scratching. At first, he thought it was a tree branch against the window. But the sound grew louder. Scratch, scratch, scratch. He opened his window and leaned out. His eyes widened. The new neighbor was outside, kneeling near a tree. Not cutting it, not fixing it. Scratching deep marks into the bark with his bare hands. Long, sharp lines, almost like symbols. The man's back was bent, his shoulders heavy, his movements strange, too fast, too strong. Daniel pulled back, heart racing. What the hell? He whispered. The next morning, he went to check the tree. The marks were still there, deep, not made by any knife or tool he had ever seen. They glowed faintly in daylight, like the wood itself was alive. From that night, Daniel began to watch more closely. He saw the neighbor digging in the yard at midnight, pulling up earth with his hands. He saw animals avoiding the house. Dogs barked from far away but never came close. Cats hissed and ran. Even the birds stopped landing on the roof. And then came the night Daniel saw too much. It was past midnight. Daniel could not sleep, his mind too full of questions. He stood at his window again, staring at the strange house. The curtains were partly open, just a small gap. But through it, Daniel saw his neighbor clearly. The man, or what Daniel thought was a man, was not human. His skin shimmered, shifting, colors like liquid silver. His arms stretched longer than they should, his eyes bright, glowing yellow, lit up the dark room. And his mouth. His mouth opened wider than any human mouth, letting out a low, vibrating sound that rattled Daniel's chest even from across the yard. Daniel's breath caught. His whole body froze. He knew he should look away, close the curtain, pretend none of this was real, but he could not. His eyes stayed locked. The figure inside the house stopped moving. Slowly, the glowing eyes turned toward the window. Toward Daniel. A chill rushed through his body. His heart hammered like a drum. The alien, because there was no other word for it, saw him. For a long moment, neither moved. Just silence. Just those yellow eyes, burning through the glass. Then, in one sharp motion, the alien stood and walked to the window. Daniel stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The lights in the alien's room flared, flooding the house with strange blue energy. Daniel's room shook. His computer screen flickered. The air felt thick, heavy, charged with electricity, And then the curtain snapped shut. Darkness. Daniel stood in his room, shaking, gasping for air. His mind screamed, "This is impossible. This can't be real." But his eyes had seen it. His body had felt it. There was no denying it now. His new neighbor was not human, and somehow the neighbor knew Daniel had discovered the truth. The next day, Daniel tried to act normal. He went to work, he smiled at people, he drank coffee, like always. But inside, his mind kept replaying the same image, those glowing yellow eyes staring right at him. He told himself it was a dream, maybe even a trick of the light. But when he walked past the neighbor's tree, the truth stared back. The bark still had those deep scratches, long, unnatural lines that glowed faintly, even under the bright sun. He touched the marks. The wood felt warm, almost like it was breathing. That night, the house was alive again. Daniel sat near his window, trying to resist, but curiosity was stronger. The curtains next door were shut tight, but light leaked out. From the edges blue one second, red the next, then pure white so bright it hurt his eyes. Then came the sound. Low, humming, but not steady. It rose and fell like chanting. Sometimes sharp, sometimes slow, always strange. Daniel pressed his ear against the glass, and he could swear it wasn't one voice set, was many. His neighbors seemed to be speaking in more than one tongue at the same time. And then there was the smell. It drifted through Daniel's open window, thick and heavy, a mix of metal, ash, and something sweet that burned his throat. He coughed and shut the window, but the smell still clung to his clothes. The next morning, Daniel noticed something new. The grass in the neighbor's yard had grown almost a foot overnight, long and sharp like blades. Flowers had bloomed where there had been nothing but dirt. They weren't normal flowers. Their petals glowed faintly, pulsing like tiny hearts. Daniel's stomach twisted. "This is not natural," he whispered. But things became even stranger. One evening, while taking out the trash, Daniel froze. His neighbor was outside again. The tall figure moved quickly, digging into the ground with bare hands. Dirt flew in every direction. But it wasn't just digging, it was burying something. Small, glowing objects like stones, but alive, were placed into the soil. As soon as they touched the earth, they sank and disappeared, leaving behind no trace. The neighbor suddenly stopped and raised his head. Daniel ducked behind his fence, holding his breath. He stayed there until the digging stopped. When he finally looked again, the yard was empty. By the third night, animals started reacting. Daniel heard dogs barking furiously from down the street, but never closer. Cats yowled and hissed at shadows. Birds circled above during the day, but avoided landing on trees near the strange house. It was as if nature itself was warning them. And then something happened that Daniel could not explain. He was walking past the neighbor's yard in the morning when he felt its odd vibration in the ground, a pulse that traveled up through his shoes. He stopped, pressing his foot harder into the soil. The earth was moving softly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Daniel stepped back fast, his chest tight. It's alive. The ground itself is alive, he thought. That night, Daniel decided he had to know more. He searched online for anything about strange lights, glowing plants, humming noises. Most of what he found were wild conspiracy theories. But then he stumbled on an old post on a forgotten forum. The title froze him. Warning Signs of Alien Mating Cycles. Daniel scrawled, his eyes racing over the words. According to the post, certain alien species released powerful energy during their mating season. The energy could affect plants, animals, even humans nearby. Symptoms included glowing vegetation, electromagnetic disturbances, and changes in behavior. Daniel sat back in his chair, his heart pounding. It matched everything. The flowers, the strange smells, the dogs barking, the lights. His neighbor wasn't just an alien, he was in mating season. Daniel's first thought was fear. What if he needs a mate here on Earth? What if humans are part of it? But then another thought struck him, darker. What happens if the cycle is interrupted? The post didn't say. That night, the house next door went completely dark. No lights. No humming, no smell. At first, Daniel felt relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe the alien was leaving. But then, just past midnight, a sound cut through the silence. Thud, thud, thud. Slow, heavy footsteps. Daniel opened his curtain just a little. His neighbor was walking down the street. Not sneaking, not hiding, just walking. But the streetlights flickered as he passed. Each bulb went out one by one, as if the alien's presence killed the electricity itself. Daniel's chest tightened. The alien wasn't staying inside anymore. He was moving out into the world. And Daniel realized something terrifying. It wasn't just strange behavior anymore. It was spreading. Daniel did not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those streetlights flickering out one by one as the alien walked past. He kept asking himself the same questions. Why now? Why here? What does he want? The next morning was worse. Daniel woke up to silence. No birds, no dogs, no buzzing of insects. The neighborhood was too quiet, unnaturally quiet, like the world itself was holding its breath. When he stepped outside, the air felt heavy, almost thick, as if invisible smoke filled his lungs. The alien's house looked the same from the outside, curtains closed, no movement. But Daniel felt it. Something was happening inside. Something big. He tried to go about his day. He drank coffee, read the news, even tried to laugh at a silly video online. But every sound around him felt wrong. His fridge hummed strangely. His computer screen flickered for no reason. When he touched his phone, it shocked him with a sharp spark. By evening, Daniel knew he couldn't take it anymore. He had to know the truth. He waited until midnight when the neighborhood slept. Then he slipped out of his house, crossed the yard and moved toward the alien's backyard fence. His hands shook as he gripped the wood. Slowly, he peeked over. The alien was there. He stood in the middle of the yard, his body glowing faintly, silver and blue. His arms moved in strange patterns, as if drawing shapes in the air. Symbols, glowing symbols, floated around him, hanging like smoke before fading into nothing. His chest pulsed with light, beating like a heart, brighter and brighter. Daniel gasped before he could stop himself. The alien froze. Slowly, he turned his head. Those glowing yellow eyes locked on Daniel again. Daniel ducked, heart racing. But it was too late. A low, vibrating voice rolled through the night. It wasn't spoken in English, but Daniel felt it inside his mind, like a thought that wasn't his own. Human? Daniel froze. His skin prickled. The voice was deep, heavy, not angry, but commanding. He stood, legs trembling, and before he could run, the alien stepped forward. In seconds, he was right at the fence. What are you? Daniel whispered. The alien tilted his head. His voice vibrated again, but this time the words twisted into English, broken and strange. Not your concern, but you saw, you watch. Daniel swallowed hard. I didn't mean to. I live next door. I had no choice. The alien leaned closer. His skin shimmered, his breath warm like fire. Then, listen, stay away. For 7 nights. Do not look. Do not interfere. Daniel blinked. Why? What's happening? The alien's eyes glowed brighter. For a moment, Daniel felt pressure inside his head, as if the alien was pushing thoughts into him. Images flashed, planets burning red, huge creatures flying, storms tearing cities apart. Then a softer image, two beings, glowing, touching hands. Energy spreading like fire across the stars. Daniel stumbled back, gasping. His nose bled from the pressure. The alien's voice rumbled again. Mating cycle, energy. Strong, dangerous. If you stay close, you burn. Daniel's chest tightened. It wasn't just strange behavior. It was something cosmic, something beyond human understanding. He forced himself to speak. Then why here? Why in this neighborhood? The alien's expression flickered, unreadable. For a second, Daniel thought he saw sadness in those glowing eyes. Hunted. Must hide. Here, no one expects. Safe. Daniel's fear deepened. If the alien was hiding, then someone or something was looking for him. The alien stepped back, his form flickering like static on a screen. His voice grew sharper. One warning, 7 nights. If you break, you die. And just like that, the light faded. The alien turned and walked back into the house. The door closed, and the yard was silent again. Daniel stood frozen, shaking, his breath ragged. His mind screamed at him to run, to leave, to forget. But another voice inside whispered, "You can't. You already know too much." He stumbled back into his own house, locking the door, closing every curtain. But it didn't help. The images the alien had forced into his head kept flashing. Burning planets, storms, energy that could destroy worlds. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart still pounding. 7 nights. That was the warning. But Daniel knew himself. He wasn't going to stay away. He wasn't going to stop watching, because deep down, he felt something worse than fear. He felt curiosity, and curiosity, he knew, might kill him. Daniel lasted only 1 day after the warning. He told himself he would stay away, like the alien said. But the truth was, every small thing reminded him. The faint hum in the walls. The strange lights that leaked from the neighbor's house. Even the air felt different, charged, restless. Alive by the second night, the changes were impossible to ignore. It started with his lamp. Daniel was reading when the bulb above his head flickered, buzzing like an angry insect. Then it popped and died, leaving the room in darkness. When he tried to switch on another light, that too failed. His phone screen glitched, showing strange symbols instead of numbers. His laptop shut down on its own. The power came back after a while, but it didn't feel normal. The glow of the screen was tinted blue, almost alive, like it was watching him. Neil stepped outside for air, but the world was no better there. The neighbor's yard had transformed. The grass was taller, sharper, bending toward the moon as if it were reaching. The glowing flowers pulsed in rhythm, like dozens of tiny hearts beating together. And then he saw the trees. Their bark shimmered faintly, the same way the alien skin had shimmered. Daniel's stomach sank. It was spreading whatever energy the alien carried. It was changing everything around him. On the 3rd night, Daniel was woken by a sound. Not scratching, not humming, but crying. High-pitched, sharp, like a baby screaming. He rushed to his window and looked out. His breath caught. It wasn't a baby. It was a raccoon, twisted and glowing. Its fur stood on end, patches missing, its body trembling. Its eyes glowed faint blue, and every cry shook the air. The creature stumbled, convulsed, and then ran off into the woods, leaving Daniel frozen. With horror, the next morning, the neighbors began whispering. Mrs. Carter across the street said her cat had vanished. A man on the corner said his car battery kept dying for no reason. Children complained that their toys made strange noises at night. Even when turned off, Daniel knew the truth. It was the alien's mating cycle. The energy wasn't staying inside the house anymore. was leaking into the world by night 4. Daniel's dreams were no longer his own. He saw flashes of places he had never been: red skies, oceans made of glass, creatures with wings of fire. He felt pain that wasn't his, longing that wasn't his. And when he woke, his pillow was wet with blood from his nose. He knew then the alien's warning had been real. Humans weren't supposed to be near this, but still, he couldn't stay away. That night, Daniel crept closer. He slipped out of his house, moving through the shadows until he reached the edge of the alien's yard. He crouched low, eyes wide, and saw something that made his blood run cold. The alien stood in the center of the yard, arms raised high. The air around him shimmered like heat waves. The ground pulsed with light, glowing cracks spreading out in every direction. And floating above him were orbs of pure energy, spinning and humming, throwing sparks into the air. Each spark that hit the ground made the earth shake. Each orb pulsed like a second sun. Daniel clutched the fence, his knuckles white. The aliens. Body twisted, expanding and shrinking as if struggling to contain the power. His face, if it could be called a face, was strained, glowing veins crawling across his skin. And then Daniel heard the voice again. Not in his ears this time. In his mind, stay back, or be destroyed. Daniel gasped, but he couldn't move. His whole body was frozen, trapped by the energy pressing down on him like a storm. The alien lowered his arms, and the orbs slowly sank back into the ground. The light faded, the air stilled, but the damage was clear. The grass was blackened, smoking. The trees bent as if forced by invisible hands. And Daniel felt weak, as if the very energy had drained the strength from his bones. He stumbled back into his house, his chest heaving. Every warning echoed in his head. 7 nights. He had already survived 4. 3 more to go. But now he knew something worse. The alien cycle wasn't just dangerous to him, was dangerous to everyone. The plants, the animals, the machines, even human minds. And Daniel realized something else. Something even darker. If the aliens survived this cycle, the changes might not stop. This was not just about mating. This was about transformation, and maybe, just maybe, humanity would not survive it. The 5th night began with silence. For a moment, Daniel thought maybe it was over. No lights leaked from the aliens' windows. No humming, no vibrations, no strange smells in the air. For the first time in days, the neighborhood looked normal. But that peace didn't last. Just after midnight, headlights rolled down the street to black cars with tinted windows. They stopped near the alien's house, their engines humming quietly. The doors opened, and 4 men stepped out, dressed in dark suits, too clean, too sharp. Their movements were stiff, controlled. Daniel watched from behind his curtains, his heart hammering. Government? Military? Who are they? The men didn't knock. They didn't call out. Instead, they walked straight to the alien's yard, scanning the ground with strange devices that clicked and beeped. One of them crouched near the glowing flowers, cutting one and sealing it into a black container. Another held a scanner near the trees, which flickered and crackled as if rejecting the touch. The alien's door stayed closed, but Daniel knew he was watching. The tallest man in the group pulled out a radio. Subject is active. Readings are off the scale, he said, his voice calm but heavy. Requesting containment clearance. Containment. The word made Daniel's stomach drop. Before the man could say more, the air shifted. A low hum rose from the alien's house, deep and powerful. The windows glowed faint blue, then white, so bright it lit the entire street. The men stumbled back, shielding their eyes. The door swung open. The alien stepped out. His body glowed brighter than ever, silver and blue light pulsing from his skin. His eyes burned gold, sharper than fire. The ground trembled with each step. He took one of the men, raised a device, something like a gun, but not. Target acquired. He shouted. The alien's voice thundered in their minds. Leave. Now the men didn't listen. They fired. Bolts of energy shot across the yard, slamming into the alien's body. For a second, Daniel thought it worked. The light flickered, his form bent, then it stabilized. The alien roared, a sound that shook every window on the street. The ground cracked. A wave of energy burst outward, knocking the men to the ground. Their cars screeched, alarms blaring, glass shattering from the force. Daniel ducked, covering his ears, his whole body vibrating from the shock. When he looked again, the men were scrambling to retreat. One crawled toward his car, bleeding from the nose. Another screamed, clutching his head as if his brain was on fire. They stumbled back into their vehicles, engines roaring, tires screeching as they sped away into the night. Silence fell again. Daniel slowly pulled the curtain back into place, his hands shaking. He had just witnessed something he wasn't supposed to see. That the alien turned his head, eyes glowing in Daniel's direction. For a second, Daniel was sure their gazes met. His body froze, lungs tight, until the alien finally turned and walked back inside. The door closed and the house went dark again. But the damage was done. Daniel sat on his bed, his mind racing. The government tore someone like them knew. They were watching. They were already trying to contain the alien. And if they failed once, they would be back. With more men. With stronger weapons. He thought of the alien's words. 7 nights. Stay away or die. Daniel now understood something terrifying. The alien wasn't just dangerous. He was valuable, powerful. A secret that no government on Earth would allow. To live free. And Daniel was caught in the middle. The next day, unmarked vans parked further down the street. Men pretended to be utility workers, setting up fake wires and cameras. Neighbors whispered, uneasy but clueless. Children were told to stay inside. Daniel saw it all. He knew what it meant. They weren't protecting the neighborhood. They were watching it, preparing for the next move. That night, as Daniel lay awake, he realized there were now 2 threats. The alien, with his dangerous cycle that could destroy everything, okay? And the humans ready to capture or kill him. He didn't know which one was worse, but one thing was certain. This was no longer just about curiosity. This was about survival. The 6th night arrived like a storm waiting behind the clouds. The air itself felt wrong, too hot, too heavy. The street was quiet, but Daniel could sense it. Deep in his chest, something was coming. By now, the neighborhood wasn't the same. Flowers glowed faintly, even in daylight. Trees leaned as if listening. Cats had vanished. Dogs barked all night. And the air buzzed with static. People whispered about strange dreams, about sleepwalking, about lights in the sky. Daniel sat by his window, staring at the alien's house. He knew he should hide, pretend, stay away. But curiosity dragged him in like a chain just before midnight. It began. A low hum rolled out of the alien's house, shaking the glass in Daniel's window. The ground trembled softly, then harder, like a heartbeat under the earth. Lights burst. Through the curtains, blue, then red, then pure white. Daniel's phone lit up on its own. Strange symbols flickered across the screen. His laptop turned on and began typing words without his hands. Every device in his house buzzed with the same phrase, "It has begun." Daniel's blood turned cold. He rushed outside, ignoring his shaking legs down the alien's yard. The ground was splitting open. Glowing cracks spread outward like veins of light, pulsing in rhythm with the hum. Energy swirled in the air, bending it like heat waves. The alien stood in the center, his body expanding with light. His chest glowed like a sun, veins of silver spreading across his skin. Daniel fell to his knees, the pressure too strong. His ears rang, his bones ached, his vision blurred. "Stop!" he shouted, though his voice was swallowed by the roar of energy. The alien turned. His eyes burned gold, brighter than ever. His voice thundered, not spoken, but pressed into Daniel's skull. "It cannot be stopped. The cycle must complete." Daniel clutched his head. "You'll destroy everything. Look around, plants, animals, peoplets, all breaking." The alien's form flickered, unstable. For a moment, Daniel saw his neighbor's face, twisted in pain. Then the alien again. "If I fail, my species dies. If I succeed, your world changes." The ground shook violently. Streetlights exploded, sparks raining down. Houses nearby groaned as if pushed by invisible hands. Alarms blared, then died. Their wires burned out by the surge. And then came the storm. Clouds twisted above, swirling into a dark spiral. Lightning cracked the sky, not white but red. Rain began to fall, thick and heavy, glowing faint blue as it hit the ground. Daniel staggered back, soaked, his heart pounding. This is madness. Voices screamed from the street. Neighbors ran outside, shouting, panicking, pointing at the sky. Some collapsed, clutching their heads. Others stared upward with blank, glowing eyes, trapped in the alien's influence. From the corner, black vans screeched in. Agents poured out, weapons raised, shouting orders. "Contain the subject. Neutralize, if necessary." Daniel's chest twisted. The alien roared, energy blasting outward. Cars flipped, fences splintered. Men flew through the air like paper dolls. But still, the agents kept firing. Beams of blue light cut across the yard, striking the alien. His body flickered, his glow unstable, but he did not fall. Instead, his power grew stronger, feeding off the attacks. Daniel's mind raced. If this keeps going, the whole block will vanish. Maybe the whole city. The alien turned to him again. For the first time, Daniel saw not just power, but desperation. "Help me or betray me. Choose." Daniel froze. His heart thundered. The choice pressed down on him like the storm above. If he helped the alien, maybe the cycle would end and the species would live. But at what cost? Earth might never be the same. If he betrayed him, maybe humanity would be safe, but he would be condemning an entire race to death. The ground split wider, glowing cracks racing toward Daniel's feet. He stumbled back, tears mixing with the glowing rain. "Why me, eh?" shouted the alien's voice, burned inside him. "Because you are the only one who sees me. Not as weapon, not as monster, but alive." Daniel's chest ached. He looked around. Neighbors screaming, agents dying. The sky tearing apart. The world breaking. The alien raised his arms. Power surging, the climax of the cycle about to explode. The storm roared louder. The earth shook harder. Daniel stood at the edge, his body trembling, his mind screaming, his soul caught between fear and pity. One choice, one chance to help the alien or betray him. The night waited for his answer. The storm had swallowed the neighborhood. The sky cracked with red lightning, glowing rain drenched the streets, and the ground itself pulsed with light. Houses trembled, windows shattered, alarms screamed and then fell silent. Daniel stood in the middle of it all, trembling, soaked eyes fixed on the glowing figure in the yard. The alien's body was splitting between light and shadow, unstable, his power spilling out in violent waves. Around him, agents screamed, firing weapons that only fed the storm. Neighbors stumbled into the streets, some collapsing, some standing, blank-eyed, trapped in visions no one else could see, and at the center Daniel's choice. The alien's voice pressed into his mind. Urgent, desperate, help me, or betray me, choose. Daniel's chest ached. Fear screamed at him to run, to hide, to beg the agents to save him. But another voice inside whispered, he's not a monster. He's alive. He's trying to survive. Daniel staggered forward against the force of the storm. His body shook, each step heavier than the last. Tell me what to do. He shouted into the chaos. The alien's golden eyes burned into him. Stand with me. Anchor me. Human presence stabilizes energy. But if you leave, I burn, and all burns with me. Daniel's heart pounded. Anchor him. That meant stepping into the storm, into the energy that had already warped animals, broken machines, poisoned the air. It meant giving himself up behind. Him, an agent's voice shouted. Get away from him now. Daniel turned. The agents had regrouped, weapons aimed. Their commander raised his arm. Step aside, citizen. This is not your fight. But Daniel knew it was. He had been part of it from the first night he looked through his window. The ground shook harder. Cracks of light spread beneath his feet. He had seconds to decide, and then he did. He stepped forward. The energy slammed into him. Hot and heavy, like fire and lightning mixed together. His knees buckled, his breath caught, his vision blurred. But he didn't stop. He reached out and pressed his hand to the alien's arm. For an instant, everything went silent. The storm froze. The hum stopped. The light steadied, Daniel's head filled with images, memories that weren't his. He saw worlds far away, endless skies filled with two suns, oceans that glowed like fire, cities built of crystal and light. He saw beings like his neighbor, shining and proud, laughing, living, loving. And then he saw them fall, hunted, burned, scattered across the stars. The alien's voice whispered inside him, softer now. You see, you know, we are dying. I must continue, or vanish forever. Daniel's body trembled, but he held on. Then finish it, he whispered. But spare this world. Don't take it with you. The alien's glow brightened, his form stabilizing. The cracks in the ground began to close. The lightning slowed. The rain dimmed. The storm was calming, but the agents didn't wait. Fire. Their commander screamed. Bolts of energy tore through the yard. Daniel shouted, trying to shield the alien with his own body. The blasts slammed into him, burning, searing. He screamed in pain, his body collapsing him. Then the alien roared. A dome of light burst outward, blocking the attacks. The agents were thrown back, their weapons fried, their vehicles overturned. The street fell silent again, except for the steady hum of power. Daniel lay on the ground, weak smoke rising from his skin. The alien knelt beside him, eyes glowing with something that almost looked like sorrow. You chose life. You chose me. I will not forget. The alien stood, raising his arms. Light surged from his body one final time, but now it was controlled, calm, steady. The cracks in the earth sealed. The rain faded. The storm dissolved into quiet night. And then, silence. The alien's glow dimmed. His form steadied. Eyes returned to a softer gold. He looked down at Daniel one last time. Cycle complete. I live. My people live. And because of you, your world still lives too. Before Daniel could speak, the alien shimmered. His body dissolved into light, rising into the air. The sky rippled, opening like a door. In one blink, he was gone. The storm ended. The night was still. Daniel lay in the street, surrounded by wreckage. Neighbors crying, agents unconscious. He coughed, weak but alive. His eyes searched the sky, but there was nothing left, only stars, shining calmly. As if nothing had happened, he whispered to himself, voice trembling. Was he friend, or was he danger? No one answered. Days later, the government cleaned. The street covered the damage, told the neighbors it was a gas explosion. People tried to believe it, tried to forget. But Daniel could never forget. Every night he sat at his window, staring at the stars, and sometimes, when the air was quiet, he swore he could hear that voice again. You chose me. I will not forget. Daniel never knew if he had saved Earth, or invited something worse to return. But one thing was certain: life in his neighborhood would never be the same again.